Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all the others. This is Alex, W7FTM, along with Kevin, and we'll be your net control tonight for the Starnight Trivia Net, number 145. This is a directed net, so all traffic should go through net control. Does anyone have any emergency traffic they were holding until the start of the net? If so, please come now. Nothing heard. If you do have an emergency at any time during the net, just say break, break, identify your station, and we will come to your assistance immediately. The format of the net is live trivia. One random question will be read to each person who checks in. You'll have 3 answers to select from. And the question of the night is, there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else? And what's the brag of your city? Or it can be maybe a non-brag. But anyway, what do you think your city or town does better than anyone else? Let's see who's checked in so far tonight via the text and email lines. We have German George in Scottsdale, Arizona, who plays by email, got his question correct, KJ68RR. George in Kawagoe, Japan, is still on vacation, JR2FJI, got his question correct by email. By the way, their question of the night answer is German George in Arizona says rattlesnakes. His city does better than anyone else. And George in Kawagoe, Japan says food. And I've seen some of the restaurants and kiosks he shows us every now and then. The dining there, I can see why you might think that. Little Brown, Monterey, California, N6MOT. Dave in Portland, Oregon, KK7HLD. Mike in San Diego, KN6MIK. Victoria in Phoenix, Arizona, KK7ABK. Scott in Jamestown, New York, N7FGP. Don in Kennewick, Washington, KI7ZRI. Roy in Blasdell, New York, KA8BYU. Alex in Pasadena, Texas, KD5AJZ. Chris in Ancaster, Ontario, VE3RWJ. Robert, Kelly Ridge, Australia, VK2DY. Sean in the Setchis, Texas, KJ5LXB. Let me drop. We have Nicholas in Madison, Wisconsin, KE9ESS. Stephanie and Larry in Oak Grove, California, KN6JLW and KN6JLX. Frank in Lancaster, New York, KC2JPQ. Fred in Reno, K7FPS. John in South St. Paul, Minnesota, KB0GUF. Dusty in Orlando, Florida. OQN. KF0WBH. Eric in Gunnison, Colorado. Teresa in College Station, Texas, KE5MUX. Joe in East Islip, New York, K2AP. Bill in Dunville, Ontario, Canada, VE3YBS. And Jason in Mobile, Alabama, KR4JVK. Anybody else like to join us? Full call sign phonetically twice, please.
N9 Tango Victor Sierra in Wisconsin. N9 Tango Victor Sierra.
Kilo Delta 3 Charlie Yankee Echo, Pennsylvania. John in Pennsylvania.
Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel. Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel.
Let's hold up a second there. The KD3 station, I couldn't quite make your call sign out. Can you come again, please?
KD3 Charlie Yankee Echo.
Yankee Echo, is it the KB3 or D3? One more time.
Kilo Delta 3 Charlie Yankee Echo.
I guess we did get that correct. I think you said Sean. We'll go ahead. You weren't coming up. Maybe you have a new ham, but welcome to the Saturday Night Trivia Net. And David, Winsboro, Kentucky, W9DWH. Once more, anybody else like to join us? Full call sign phonetically twice, please.
9 Tango Victor Sierra in Wisconsin, Sheila. And 9 Tango Victor Sierra.
Okay, Sheila, I'm sorry. We did get you too. I do have you down in 9 TVS. Sorry, well, that looks like a good start. Let's go back up to the top. And, of course, the question of the night, is there something you think your city or town is better than? And let's see, since George and the two Georges didn't come in today, that'd be Little Elm, Monterey, California is up first in 6 MOT.
Now, here in 6 MOT in Monterey, California, and here in Monterey, we got some of the best California seafood in the world. Monterey squid is the best, and Japan buys our squid, and because it's the best. Anyway, that's what we do the best, the fishing here. Anyway, I'm ready for a question.
I think the first thing you said was pizza, is that right?
Well, you know, my family did own a pizza parlor, and we did the best pizza in town, yes. But we're retired from that business now. But seafood, the best is a squid, Monterey squid. You can't get it anywhere else but in Monterey Bay.
All right, well, I'll get you down for one squid pizza. Your question is, oh, by the way, we're doing world history tonight. American history, too, but world history. And history questions, if you stayed awake during history class. But before we get to that, I want to do the Word News Trivia Story of the Week. Let's start with that, because you hardly ever get this one, Little Al. Your question, or the question for the Word News Trivia Story of the Week, which of the following headlines was an actual news story from last week? Yeah, 2 of them are fake, 1 of them is real. A, quadruple amputee cornhole player accused of shooting man to death. B, deaf, dumb, and blind kid becomes world pinball champion. Or C, TSA reduces delays by eliminating colonoscopy portion of search. Another reason I don't fly. You say it is, Little Al.
I'm supposed to answer one of these. Well, I know Tommy is playing pinball. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid. He's real good. I think I saw something about the. I really want to believe it's that. Anyway, I'll try it. What the hell? Oops, sorry. Back to you, Alex.
And of course, it cut out right when you gave your answer. What was your answer again?
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I want to go with the TSA answer. I can't remember what letter that was. Was that A? The TSA, but who knows? But I just think I saw something in the news about TSA and cutting time back. I don't know if it was for colonoscopy portions, but what the heck?
You know, I haven't phoned in so long. Maybe they are doing that. I don't know. No, it was A. It was, and none of these sound believable. But yeah, it was a quadruple amputee cornhole player was accused of shooting a man to death. It actually happened. A professional cornhole player who was a quadruple amputee is facing murder charges in Maryland. The Charles County Sheriff's Office said Nathan James Weber shot and killed a man during an argument Sunday night. Wow, they must really take their cornhole seriously over there. Thank you, Little Al. Dave in Portland, Oregon, KK7HLD. All right, Dave, is there something you think that your city or town does better than anyone else? I could think of a few, but I'll let you have the honor.
Well, all right. Thank you very much, Alex. Well, that's got to be really a-hole, horrible evil politicians. Oh, wait, that's everywhere. No, truthfully, Portland is internationally known as the beer capital of the world. Even our poor microbreweries make good beer. What can I say? Beer capital of the world. Over to you.
And beer we will take. Yeah, good for point. That's right. All the microbreweries out there. There's even one that I kind of like that I use a lot of them out here in Arizona. Beer it is, and your question is, what is the original purpose of the Great Wall of China? Yeah, the original purpose of the Great Wall of China. A, defense against invaders. B, to keep people in. Or C, to keep the emperor's pet pandas from escaping.
No, that was the walled forbidden city. Kept the pandas in. It was to keep the people in so that they couldn't get contaminated with the foreigners outside of the wall. But you know, there's a lot of cross contamination in the time it took to build the thing, so that's a tough one. Anyways, as always, thank you very much, Alex. Back to you.
Well, Dave, that was the Berlin Wall that keep people in. It was although I probably shouldn't say it. It was defense against invaders. They thought that putting that long wall up would keep, and it may have worked for a while, but it didn't. So, thank you, Dave. You know, my son once asked me. He said, "Dad, is it true that in China a man doesn't know his wife until he marries her?" And I told him that just doesn't happen in China. It happens everywhere, son. Everywhere. Mike in San Diego, KN6 MIK. Welcome back, Mike. Is there something you think your city or town is better than anywhere else? San Diego, boy, there's got to be a lot of them.
Good evening, Alex. Always a pleasure. In 6 MIK, Mike here in San Diego. Well, you know, they say this is San Diego's the best little city in California until you lived here a while. But for the outsider, yeah, it is pretty nice. You can afford to live here. That and the current parking meter deluge. Every free place that used to have free parking's got a parking meter. But besides that, enjoy. Go ahead, brother, hit me.
We'll give you credit for having nice weather, so that's put that in there. All right, your question, Mike, is in the old USSR, prisoners of the communist state would often tattoo these images on their chest to keep them from being shot by prison guards. What did they put on their chest? Tattoos of A, the communist flag, B, Lenin and Stalin, or C, a Christian cross?
Let's go with A, Alex. Always a pleasure. KN6 MIK, back to you.
Well, you're close. It was Lenin and Stalin. They would put pictures of Lenin and Stalin, or Lenin or Stalin, on their chest, so they wouldn't be shot by prison guards. Apparently, it worked. In Soviet Russia, you rob banks. In capitalist America, banks rob you. My favorite joke by that Russian comedian. Thank you, Mike. Victoria in Phoenix, KK7AVK. Welcome back to you. And is there something you think that your city or town does better than anywhere else? Maybe where you came from or here, whichever. Victoria, KK7AVK, are you okay? And she checks in from work sometimes. She might still be working. Well, it's okay. Well, we'll call her again later. Scott in Jamestown, New York. N7FGP, is there something that you think your city or town does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex. Thank you and Kevin for being out there doing the net tonight. I'm pretty new here in town, so I'm still figuring out things. They do have the National Comedy Hall of Fame or something like that. I haven't checked that out. I will here soon, one of these days. So, I'm still figuring it all out. I'm ready for a question.
All right, Scott, your history question is, who is known as the father of modern science? Father of modern science. A, Bill Nye, the science guy. B, Galileo Galilei. Or C, Albert Einstein.
Alex, I'm going to go with B on that one. So, yep, that's it. Lock me in. Final answer. And that first question, I read that in the online, I think, somewhere. And I have so many questions. I don't know. Anyhow, back to you.
Yeah, that was really an odd, I just couldn't resist that one. It was too strange, but, and you're correct, yeah, it's Galileo is the father of modern science. It's like my school teacher once told me, staring off into space never got anyone far in life, and I said, yeah, that's what they told Galileo. Thanks, Scott. Don in Construction, KI7ZRI, is there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else?
Hey there, Alex. Everyone on that KI7ZRI. I would say free-range tumbleweeds. I've never lived anywhere when the wind picks up, the tumbleweeds take over the entire town and all of my yard.
Yeah, I did not know that academic question. Obviously, we have them here in the Southwest. You probably already know they're a Russian import. They're not from here. Somebody brought them over and planted some, and they really liked it here. And now they're all over the country, I guess. All right, Don, your question is, what is a Tijuana Bible? A Tijuana Bible, but some people pronounce Tijuana mistakenly. What is a Tijuana Bible? Is it A, Bible that used to be given to people entering Tijuana, Mexico? B, a book disguised as a Bible used to smuggle marijuana across the border? Or C, a crudely printed, not safe for work comic book from the 1930s?
I'm going to have to go with B. If not the answer, it's very funny. Thanks for doing the net there, Alex.
Just it's C. Yeah, Tijuana Bible was a crudely painted, not safe for work comic book from the 1930s. They featured cartoon characters and politicians having sex. So obviously they were way ahead of their time. But thank you, Don. You got it rolling. 88 BYU. Roy, is there something you think your city does better than anywhere else? What does Blasdell do better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex, and everybody on the net. K88BYU. I would say they have more restaurants per capita than most of the other places around here.
I'm sure we'd give you a one for your money over here, but okay, got you down with the cats, and your question is, now Roy, everyone knows this, who was the first emperor of Japan? The first emperor of Japan, was it A, Emperor Jimmu, Jimmu. B, Emperor Meiji, M-E-I-J-I. Or C, Emperor Sushi, S-U-S-H-I.
Identifier, get out of the way. I have no clue. I'm going to go with Bravo just for the heck of it.
Yeah, he goes back a ways too. I think 15th century or something like that. Meiji, and maybe later. No, it was Jimmu. Was the very first emperor of Japan, and at least you know it wasn't Emperor Sushi. And hey, thank you for that, Roy. Victoria's back here, KK7AVK Victoria. The question of the night is there something you think that your city or town does better than anywhere else? Either where you live now or where you used to. It's fine.
Good evening, Alex. This is Victoria, KK7AVK. So, I'm going to go with what I think people in Phoenix, Arizona do better than anyone else, and that would be tolerate heat. I don't think it bothers us that much as visitors that come to visit us. So, go ahead with the question. Back to you.
Yeah, it's true. It does kind of weed out all the people that are too heat sensitive. Yeah, you got a point there. All right, your question is, we're doing history tonight. What was the famous Rosetta Stone used to translate? What did they use the Rosetta Stone to translate? Was it A, what women really mean when they say nothing is wrong? Yeah, Egyptian Queen Rosetta Stone was famous for this. B, or C, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. What did they use the Rosetta Stone to translate?
Well, let's try Bravo and see where this lands. Have a great evening, Alex. KK7AVK, back to net.
The Rosetta Stone was actually used to translate ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, which is easy compared to answer A. So, yeah. You know, my wife likes to clean her house before we go on vacation, just in case burglars break in, so they won't think she's a messy housekeeper. Now, you know there are some women out there listening right now thinking, yeah, I can see that. Alex in Pasadena, Texas, KD5AJZ. Alex, is there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex, Vicky, and everyone on the net. I discussed this heavily with my wife for a couple hours here once we read the question of the day, and the answer is no.
Better than Pasadena, California? Yes. Yeah, I couldn't help you there. Alex, your history question is, who was the only golfer to finish under par in the 2000 U.S. Open? Sports history question. Was it A, Phil Mickelson, he's from here and I can't even pronounce his name. B, Arnold Palmer, or C, Tiger Woods?
The one sport that I truly know nothing about. Well, since Tiger Woods just rolled a car and they got, I think, arrested afterwards or charged with DUI, let's go with Tiger because he's not having a good day. So, anyways, enjoy this as always. 85AJZ, back to you, Alex.
Well, Alex, at least he can drive a golf ball 300 yards without hitting a tree, so he really has picked up his game, though. He used to only flip his golf clubs, and now he You know I couldn't resist that one. Yeah, it was Tiger Woods. He was the only golfer to finish under par in the 2000 U.S. Open. Thank you, Alex. This is Alex, W7FTM, along with Kevin, VETBZ. You're listening to the Saturday Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector. Over to Chris in Ancaster, Ontario. VE3RWJ, Chris, is there something you think your city does better than anywhere else? Okay, it takes him a few seconds to get to the radio. Chris, VE3RWJ. Okay, we'll give him an in and out for now, and maybe you can check in when we get done with this round. Robert, Kelly Ridge, Australia, VK2DY. Something your city does better than anywhere else?
Good afternoon, Alex. I remembered the time change now. It's 2:27 p.m. Anyway, thanks. I can probably speak for the whole metropolitan area of Sydney, since people mostly think of this whole place as Sydney. So I will do that. And of course, it's the harbor. The harbor is just, I don't think there's any harbor more magnificent than Sydney Harbor, and riding the ferries up and down and coming in by the Harbor Bridge and the Opera House on the ferry is just still magical, even after all these years. And, of course, we do New Year's Eve better than anybody else as well. VK2DY, back to that.
Celebration than he would the one in New York. Of course, we get to see it earlier, too. Your question, Robert, which famous battle took place in 1066? Was it A, the Battle of Hastings, when the forces of France fought the forces of England? B, the Battle of Waterloo, when the forces of the French Imperial Army fought the forces of the 7th Coalition? Or C, the Battle of Wrath, when the forces of Valinor fought the forces of Morgoth?
Thank you, Alex. That's obviously Hastings.
Well, I mispronounced that second group in C. It's not Morgoth, it's Morgoth. So you sure you want to stick with A? I guess he does, and that is correct. Yeah, it was the Battle of Hastings. It took place in 1066, when the forces of France fought the forces of England at least a dozen times before incident. Sean, it's Texas, KJ5LXB. Welcome back. Is there something you think your nearly unpronounceable city or town does better than anywhere else?
Good evening to you, Alex. This is KJ5LXB, and I've been racking my brain for the better part of an hour, and I can't come up with anything, so I guess I'm ready for my question. Back to you.
No is an acceptable answer. I imagine a larger city would be a little easier to come up with unless you have the largest ball of twine in the world, or one of those, type cities in Kansas or wherever. Your question is, which ancient civilization built Machu Picchu? Which ancient civilization built Machu Picchu? Was it A, the Mayans, B, the Incas, Or C, Japanese anime artists?
Let me go with Bravo. Thanks for doing the net. Back to you.
Yeah, you didn't fall for the Mayans. Yeah, you're right. It's the Incas. Incas built Machu Picchu. The Mayans were further north. Thanks. Thank you, Sean. Nicholas in Madison, Wisconsin, K9EXX. Welcome back to you, Nicholas. And is there something that you think your city does better than anywhere else? Looking for Nicholas in Madison, K9EXX. This round anyway. Stephanie and Larry in Elk Grove, California, KN6JLW, KN6JLX. How about it, guys? What does Oak Grove, California do better than any city anywhere else?
Hey, Alex, this is Larry, KN6JLX, along with Stephanie, KN6JLW, and we thought and couldn't think of anything that Elk Grove does better than anywhere else.
Yeah, that's kind of difficult in a smaller town, especially in California, because just about every larger town in California is infamous for something. Your question is, who invented the printing press in the 15th century? That's your history question. Who invented the printing press in the 15th century? Was it A, Johannes Gutenberg, B, Leonardo da Vinci, or C, King Henry VIII had counterfeit British currency to afford all his wives?
Hey, Alex, we're going to go with Alpha. Thanks for doing the net, and have a good week.
Thanks, guys. Paid attention in history class. You're correct. Yeah, it was Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press in the 15th century. And at first, the church just took advantage. That was great. You could print Bible and manuscripts, and the church kind of held it for their own for a while. And finally, they had to release it to the public. And the rest is history. Literally history. Frank in Lancaster, or KC2, JPQ. Is there something you think your city, Lancaster, New York, does better than anywhere else?
Audio level is normal.
In the 15th century, and at first the church just took advantage. That was great. You could print Bible and manuscripts, and the church kind of
Good evening, Alex, and everybody on the net. Well, I live in Lancaster, New York, and it's just outside of Buffalo, New York. So I would just say a no-brainer would be Buffalo chicken wings. And I'm ready for my question, Alex. Back to you.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I doubled with the very first part, but I didn't get your answer. Chicken wings. Chicken wings it is. Frank, your question is, which city was known as Byzantium? Byzantium. Who was it? A, Istanbul, B, Tripoli, or C, Byzantium isn't a city, it's an allergy medication.
I must have missed that the day I was skipping out. I don't know. I'll just take a wild guess and say B, Bravo. Good job as usual, Alex. Talk to you next week. Have a great week. KC2JPQ.
Well, at first it was Byzantium, then it became Constantinople, and finally it became Istanbul as the Christian and Muslim forces fought it out and settled in Istanbul. Thanks. Thank you, Fred. A lot of people probably don't know that one. Fred in Reno. Thank you, Frank. Fred in Reno, K7FPS. Well, hey, this could be quite a few too. Is there something you think that Reno does better than anywhere else?
K7FPS, Fred in Reno. Thank you, Kevin, for logging, and Alex. And I'm going to go with Burning Man. And Aiden got back from Death Valley, sitting across from me, and he may have another opinion. Back to you, Alex, K7FPS.
So that's close enough to Reno to be considered for, I guess it is, kind of thing, but I keep thinking it's further south in Nevada, but Burning Man it is, and we'll see what Jane thinks. She ready to play? Jane, did you have a opinion on the something your city does better than anywhere else?
Alex, glad to be back. I would have to agree with Fred. You know, Burning Man we're the center for Burning Man, quite honestly. But we have a car show here called Hot August Nights. So I would have to say that is probably better than, yes, Pebble Beach has the Concours d'Elegance, but that's just a proprietary event. This is open to the general public, and it's really fun. So I'm going to go with Hot August Nights, although you are correct. 30 years ago, we had so many wonderful things that we just don't seem to have anymore. Back to you, Alex.
All right, thanks, guys, for that. And your question is, let's start with Fred. Your history question is, who was the first female to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean? Was it A, Amelia Earhart, B, Harriet Tubman, or C, a bird, if we're being technical?
I think, could you repeat the answers, please, Alex?
Yeah, no problem. It's a short question. First female to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, was it Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, or a bird, if we're being technical?
Well, you're tripping me up on that one. I'm going to go with Charlie on that one, Alex. K7FPS, back to net.
Let me think a minute. Actually, it's Amelia Earhart, but I did say first female, didn't I? Yeah. I guess I'll have to give you that one. So, thank you, Fred. I should think these through better next time. All right, Jane, your question is, what was Cleopatra's real name? Cleopatra's real name, was it A, Cleopatra the Fifth, B, Cleopatra the Seventh, or C, Cleopatra Theopater, queen of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, but only when her parents were mad at her?
Repeat the eighth answer, please.
here was Cleopatra actually called A. Cleopatra the Fifth, B. Cleopatra the Seventh, or C. Cleopatra Thea Philopator, Queen of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, but only when her parents were mad at her.
I believe she was Cleopatra the Seventh, which is really hard to imagine. I think that is the correct answer.
Oh, I'm sorry, which number was that?
B, Alex.
Hey, how did you know that? Yeah, it was Cleopatra the Seventh was her real name, not the real long one. Although technically that's what she was, but she wasn't called that. So, Cleopatra the Seventh. You know, I did some role playing with my wife one night a few years ago, and I agreed to be Caesar, and she agreed to be Cleopatra. She tried to stab me 23 times. Won't do that again. John, South St. Paul, Minnesota, KB0GUF. Welcome back, John. Is there something you think your city of South St. Paul, Minnesota does better than anywhere else?
I would say produce trivia players. I can't think of a thing, except statewide, we're known for our hockey. We've been in the state high school hockey tournament more times than any other school in the state of Minnesota. So I guess I would have to go with hockey. What's my question, sir? Thanks for having me.
Hockey it is, John. It is. History question, who is the only U.S. congressman to have a #1 hit single? The only congressman to have a #1 hit single. Was it A, Sonny Bono, B, Nancy Pelosi, or C, Justin Timberlake?
Sonny Bono. Alpha. Thanks. See you next week.
Exactly. As you know, Justin Timberlake wasn't a congressman, and Nancy Pelosi. Don't go there, Alex. Don't go there. It was Sonny Bono. Thank you. Thank you, John. Yes. I got you, babe. Yeah, it's a pretty catchy song. At least the first 30 times they played it on the radio. After the 100th time, I lost interest. All right, this is W7FTM along with Kevin V3VZ, and you're listening to the Saturday Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector, going to Dusty in Orlando, Florida. KQ4 OQN Dusty, is there something you think that Orlando does better than anywhere else?
We make Florida Man look better than anywhere else in the state, because when you see us getting arrested in Orlando, we got a full set of teeth and we're dressed nice up until the point we're getting chased by the cops and then the clothes fall off.
The question is, what event marked the end of the ancient Greek city-states? What was the end of the ancient Greek city-states? Was it A, the birth of Alexander the Great, B, the conquest of Greece by Rome, or C, the invention of tzatziki sauce?
You know, they had them baths over there. I'm thinking they might have been doing something funky with that tzatziki sauce. Just saying.
Unfortunately, it was B. Yeah, the ancient Greek city-states fell after the conquest of Greece by Rome, who stole everything they could from the Greeks, including their gods or religion. They just changed the names. That's... Father, why did you name me Achilles? Well, son, you don't have it. Or he's a Greek hero. We don't have any Greeks in our family, Dad. Because, son, you were able to make it to the Trojan Mall. Thank you, Dusty. Eric in Gunnison, Colorado, KF0WBH. All right, what does Gunnison do better than anywhere else other than have really cool ski resorts and high mountains? And, anyway, what do you say?
Yeah, hey, how's it going tonight, Alex? Gunnison, super small town. We have all of 4 stoplights, so it's kind of hard to come up with one. But one thing we do have that's really good is trout fishing. The city of Gunnison's got a free stock trout pond for the kids. We got gold medal water all over the place. But we'll see if we have any snowmelt this year. We have no snow coming down, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm going to have to say trout fishing.
Trout fishing it is, and those are hard little suckers to catch too. We have them in northern Arizona, of course, and they are very clever. If they get hooked, and those fishermen notice, they'll just sit there. They'll be very calm as you're reeling them in. They won't do a thing. They'll just they'll let you pull them along as dead weight, and then when you start to take them out of the water in the net, they flip around like crazy and jump off the hook almost every time. So I admire their tenaciousness. Your question is, okay, in honor of Women's History Month, what was the first country to grant women the right to vote? The first country, was it A, New Zealand, B, the United States, or C, the Isle of Lesbos?
Seems like it should be Bravo, but it feels like a trick question. I'm going to go with Alpha, New Zealand. KF0WBH, clear back to net.
I couldn't get you to go with the Greek Isle, huh? Yeah, it's New Zealand. Yeah, the first country to grant women the right to vote, and women's rights, by the way, was New Zealand. So good for the Kiwis. Thank you, Eric. Teresa, College Station, Texas, KU5MUX. Thanks for showing up, Teresa. Is there something you think College Station does better than anywhere else?
This is KU5MUX, and I might be a little biased, but I say college game day when it comes to football. Starts at midnight and goes on until midnight or later that day. It's quite a story, at least when we've got a home game. What's my history question, Alex?
Sorry, Teresa, what kind of partying was that?
College game day for football.
Oh, yeah, the team when I lived in Oklahoma, we used to root to beat all the time when the Sooners would play. I remember that. Your question is, which animal was first domesticated by humans? First animal domesticated by humans, was it A, dogs, B, cats, or C, men?
Well, there's so many ways I could go with that. I'm going to go with dogs. Thanks for doing the net tonight, Alex. 730 KE5MUX.
Real men are feral creatures and can be domesticated. So probably know that. Thank you, Teresa. I see Nicholas, Madison, Wisconsin, I think is rejoined us, KE9ESS. And Nicholas, the question tonight is there something you think that Madison, Wisconsin does better than anywhere else?
Well, hey, Alex and Vicki and everybody else. Sorry about messing up. Somebody was keying up something, one of the repeaters in Wausau, and it knocked all of our repeaters off you guys, so I just scrambled to get to my All-Star, and glad to be back with you. I'm not from Madison. I'm from Milwaukee. Just living in Madison for temporary few years, but I will. So I'll say Milwaukee. And I think I have to have a talk with Dave from Portland because he said beer, and Milwaukee is definitely Brew City. That's our nickname. But I'm going to say festivals, summer festivals for Milwaukee. It is. There's really no better place in America when you're in the summertime. There's just the biggest music festivals, biggest ethnic festivals. There's an amazing French festival and parade for the French independence. There's Irish festival, German festivals. It's a fantastic festival city. So Milwaukee is a great place for festivals.
Hi, it's good to know. I didn't realize that. That's the 2 weeks out of the year when it's actually warm. I'm sure that's a very busy time. Your question, Nicholas, is and don't worry. I know the north can get extremely hot, north central U.S. Your question is, which American presidential candidate publicly stated this about his opponent? He's a hideous, hermaphroditic character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensitivity of a woman. Who said, A. Donald Trump describing Kamala Harris, B. Ross Perot describing Bill Clinton, or C. Thomas Jefferson describing John Adams.
Well, I don't think half those words are in Trump's vocabulary, so I don't think it was him. I think it sounds like something Ross Perot would say. He was quite the character. I'm gonna go with Perot. Oh, and that first question of the night, the best comment I heard about it was, unarmed man shoots and kills other unarmed men. So that's your joke for the night. KE9ESS, back to you.
Hey, there was, like you said, a few weeks to go with that, and I thought, well, I don't want to be too offensive, but like you said, that's actually it was it was Thomas Jefferson describing John Adams, and as you pointed out, no modern day politician would have that large of a vocabulary. I don't think Ross Perot probably would, because he was intelligent, which is why he didn't get elected. But that was Jefferson describing John Adams. Hermaphroditical character. You don't hear that too much, you say. Thank you, Nicholas. All right, this is W7FTM in Scottsdale, Arizona, going next to Joe in East Islip, New York. K2AP. Joe, is there something you think East Islip, New York, does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex. There's really nothing much I could say. The only thing that comes to mind is possibly bagels, although I can't eat gluten anymore, so I can't eat them, but I remember they used to be pretty good. So I'm going to go with bagels. I'm going to pass it over to my son-in-law, Matt, to answer the question of third-party traffic. K2AP.
Yeah, a good bagel is hard to find in a lot of places. Fortunately, Phoenix has a place called Einstein's, which is a chain. Normally, you wouldn't think would have good bagels, but they do okay. All right, and third-party traffic city. Your question is to the nephew. In which city was the first modern hospital built? The first modern hospital, was it A. Cairo, B. Rome, or C. San Francisco, a big city with mental patients? But that's not important right now. What do you think?
I'm going to say Cairo, because I have a love of Egypt, so hopefully they were able to get on the cutting edge of modern medicine. Thanks for doing the weekly trivia. K2AP, back to Nat.
Yeah, that is correct. It was Cairo. It was the first modern hospital built in Cairo, yep. I heard a good hospital joke the other day, but I hesitate to tell it on the radio. It's a little off color. Maybe if I clean it up a little bit, but well, man, it'd probably be a bad idea. I don't want to upset the Godfather. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll put it to a vote. The next few people I talk to, you tell me if you want to hear the slightly off-color hospital joke, or if you'd rather keep the net pristine, pure, family-friendly net it's been for all these years. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Bill. And then Denville, Canada, VA3, YBS. First, Bill, should I tell the joke or not? And secondly, is there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else?
Say it. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm open to hearing a slightly off-color hospital joke if you're so inclined. What does our town of Dunville do best? We have the best Mudcat Festival in the world. It's a 5-day festival every June, and we have, parade, live music, fireworks, the usual stuff. And yes, we celebrate a catfish. As you're driving into the town of Dunville, you'll see a giant structure of a sculpture of a catfish. His name is Muddy the Mudcat, and he's a 50-foot-long catfish that sits just as you enter town. So that's what Dunville's famous for. Anyway, I'm ready for my question, Alex.
Yeah, Bill. I caught a 50-foot catfish once, and thanks. Your question is, who invented the concept of zero? Was it A, Indian, B, Isaac Newton, or C, comedian Zero Mostel?
Could you repeat number A for me?
Yeah, no problem. A is Indian mathematicians.
I'll go with A. I think A is the answer. Thanks for doing the net, Alex. Always enjoy it.
And A is the answer, yeah. Indian mathematicians invented the concept of zero. So, thanks for nothing, guys. The weird thing is, when I order food with a zero spice level at an Indian food restaurant, it always comes back spicy as hell. But they're supposed to understand the concept, so I don't get that. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Jason in Mobile, Alabama, KR4 JVK. First off, should I do the slightly off-color hospital joke, or would you rather not hear any of that trashy talk tonight, Jason? And the question of the night, is there something you think your city or is better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex. Loving the question so far. I would definitely want to hear your off-color joke for sure. So I'm here in Mobile, Alabama, which is the birthplace of Mardi Gras. So I would say, New Orleans likes to claim that they are the origin of this place, or Mardi Gras, but we go back to the 1700s. So Mardi Gras originated here in Mobile, and I'd say we do it better than anywhere else because it's very clean and family friendly here. You can take your kids out and have them catch moon pies and not worry about any kind of problems that you might see in New Orleans or anywhere else. Anyway, so yeah, let's hear that joke, and thank you for the great questions tonight. I'm ready for mine. KR4 JBK, back to you.
Thank you, Jason. And yeah, Bob Dylan was full of it, stuck inside of Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. Yeah, plenty to do in Mobile. Plenty to do. The trick question is, what year did the first telephone call occur? A, like after the smartphone was invented, I guess. B, 1903, or C, 1876?
Okay, so I'm a kind of a nerd about emitters from the late 1800s and 1900s, so I should know this, but I know it was Alexander Graham Bell making a phone call to his assistant, but I don't remember the year. I'm going to go with 1903. I think 1800s were a little too early for that. Back to you. 73 to all.
Yeah, which is what I thought. I thought it came later too, but no, it goes back to 1876. First telephone. Yeah, it's probably one of those clink phones that you had to, anyway, it's like you see in the old movies and TV shows. Yep, thanks. Thank you, Jason. All right, there's Sheila in Wausau, Wisconsin. In 9 TVS, I'll ask one more person. Should I do the slightly off-color hospital joke? I'd rather not hear anything that might be questionable for children up. And the question tonight is there something you think your city or town, Wausau, does better than anyone else? Hey, Sheila, are you still connected in 9 TVS? It's okay. We're almost to the end of this group, like 4 or 5 more people, 5 or 6. So we'll do it then. KD3CYE, Braylo Sean, are you still with us? And is there something you think your city or town is better than anywhere else?
KD3CYE, northeastern Pennsylvania, potholes.
One thing I'll say for the Phoenix Transportation Board, the ADOT, that's right, Arizona Department of Transportation, they are pretty good at fixing potholes. Of course, when it doesn't freeze, it's a lot easier. You don't have as many of them. All right, and the answer, if you want to hear the off-color joke answer after you answer your question, which is, which famous battle was fought in 1815? 1815, was that A, the Battle of Waterloo, B, the Battle of Thermopylae, or C, the Battle of Middle Earth?
That'd be A.
And Waterloo it is. Yep, you got it. I'm assuming you want to hear the joke, and we have 2 people for us, so all right. Here it goes. I got to be, let's hope it's worth it. A hospital joke. A man loses his private part in an accident, and they take him to the hospital. The emergency room doctor tells him, don't worry, we have a wide range of male private parts of various sizes we can surgically attach. Unfortunately, they all cost $25,000, and your insurance doesn't cover it. I'll leave you to discuss it with your wife. 20 minutes later, the doctor comes back and asks for a decision. The man says, I've discussed it with my wife, and we've decided we're going to buy a new kitchen. David, Owensboro, Kentucky, W9DWH. Is there something you think Owensboro does better than anywhere else? David, Owensboro, Kentucky, W9DWH. Well, looks like I'm still connected after that trip. Maybe later. Mike in Buffalo, KE2FLO. Welcome back, Mike. Is there something you think your city of Buffalo does better than anywhere else? Somebody said buffalo wings already, but what do you say?
Good evening, Alex. Everyone else listening on the Trivia Net tonight. Yeah, I did hear that chicken wings got taken already. We'll stick with food. How about beef on weck? And with that, I'll answer my question now, Alex.
Was that beef on what?
Beef on weck.
Okay, well, I'll figure out later if I got it wrong. Mike, your question is, who was the first emperor of Rome? That's your history question. Was it A, Julius Caesar, B, Augustus Caesar, or C, Little Caesar?
Gee, I'm not gonna say. I want to say Julius Caesar, but I don't know if that's 100% correct. Yeah, I'm just gonna say A, but I have a feeling it's B.
Yeah, well, your feeling was correct. Julius Caesar actually was elected to the Senate and all that, but the first emperor was Augustus became the first emperor, and it kind of went downhill after that. But thank you, Mike. All right, it's W7FDM Alex in Scotts, Arizona, along with Kevin VE3BZ, and you're listening to the Saturday Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector, and we're going to Leo in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, K4ITA. Welcome back, Leo. And is there something you think that Fort Lauderdale, or maybe the city where you were from, does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex and Kevin. I believe good evening from Fort Lauderdale. Well, if we talk about Fort Lauderdale, by the way, I like the jokes. And if we talk about Fort Lauderdale, because of the Everglades here in South Florida, we have about 100 more miles miles, and the water taxi is amazing. You know, you can take this beautiful boat and go around the canals from the ocean to downtown to the shopping area, shopping district, restaurant district, for a few dollars, hop out, hop off all day long. And if you talk about the city where I'm from, which is Asti, Italy, we are famous for wine. Okay, back to you, Alex. Thank you.
Light check-in.
All right, Leo got you down with the water taxis and wine. We'll just put both of them in there. And late check-in, hang on a second. I'm pretty sure that was David. We'll find out in a second. But Leo, your question is, which ancient civilization is credited with the first written legal code? The first written legal code. Was it A, the Babylonians, B, the Egyptians, or C, the Cardassians?
Okay, go with Alpha. I believe it's Alpha. Back to you, everybody. Have a great night. This is K488.
You see, when you come from the old country, you tend to know your history, and that is correct. The first written legal code was done by the Babylonians. You got it. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Glad you can make it. And late chicken, was that let's see, was that you, David? W9DWH?
It's KG5EGD, Alvin, here in Houston, Texas.
Oh, Alvin. Okay, well, we'll get to you shortly here. We're almost to the end of the list, and so, let's see, Frank, Brian in Minnesota, Kentucky, AC4BR. Is there something you think that your city does better than anywhere else?
Well, good evening, Alice, and I think you said it was Kevin doing the logging and everybody else on the net. Yeah, so I wouldn't say city per se, because it's a relatively small. But as far as the county, at least up until COVID kind of killed everything, it was. And if you ever want to know what a houseboat is, well, it's a house that's also a boat. In fact, it's decently large. There was one, I think it's one of the largest ones they built that was launched last year before. It was like 20-something feet wide and about 120 feet long, and the trailer broke trying to back it into off and stuff. Anyway, what's my question, Alex?
Yeah, no problem. We have houseboats in Arizona on Lake Powell. You can rent them, or I guess buy them too out there. So, although there's not much water left in Lake Powell after the drought these days, so it might be crowded. Your question, Brian, is hang on a second. Time to scroll down. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Was that A, Chat GPT, B, Benjamin Franklin, or C, Thomas Jefferson?
Well, I'm going to figure I'll get C, Thomas Jefferson. That's the biggest product that came from my hometown, at least especially in the 90s, was a little 7-leaf plant that's been fairly popular over the years. We used to have military Black Hawk choppers and Bell helicopters and such flying over loaded with National Guard and state troopers, and they would land at the Wendy's Pizza Hut Taco Bell thing because there was a field next door, and they refilled them while they were in there eating lunch. So that was interesting. Ducks, C73, AC4VR.
Thomas Jefferson, it is. Yeah, it's. Although if Chat GPT had been available back then, the political insults may have been even better. By the way, as I like to tell people, you'll never find artificial or any other kind of intelligence on this net, so don't worry. Thank you, Brian. Lynn in Sylvania, Ohio, KF8EJA. Okay, is there something Sylvania, Ohio does better than anywhere else?
Well, good evening, Alex. We used to do a pretty good job of holding an LPGA tournament, but unfortunately they weren't able to come up with good enough corporate sponsorship, so that's gone on hiatus a bit. So I'm going to claim that we're Metropolitan Toledo, and I believe that objectively that Toledo is one of the best, arguably possibly the best hometown of a AAA baseball team. KF8EJA, ready for my question.
I did not know that. They just wrapped up the spring training out here in Arizona, so which is not only a couple blocks away with the Giants practice here in Scottsdale. All right, Lynn, your history question is, what is the oldest university in the world that is still operational? Is it A, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin, Qarawiyyin, it's located in Fez, Morocco. B, Harvard University, or C, Hogwarts?
Well, it's definitely got to be Alpha by elimination. Wanted to comment also, I'm coming in on my ClearNode through All-Star, and I've noticed the last few weeks, I'm pretty sure that my ClearNode reboots or resets every night at midnight, and depending on how someone has a similar device configured for what it does when it resets, it may or may not reestablish the connection. That could account for several people possibly dropping off versus thinking that people fell asleep. KF8EJA, back to net.
Yeah, no problem. And I have one of those too. It doesn't ever do that, but somebody else's configuration. Of course, you have the auto connect engaged, which usually works. So, yeah, somebody will hopefully figure that out. Thank you. It's a W7FTM in Scottsdale, Arizona, going next to Alvin in Houston. KG5, EGD. Alvin, is there something that Houston does better than anywhere else other than oil production? I'm just kidding. What do you think?
KG5, EGD. Well, they have real good tacos here. Best, I think. And they got, they call it Bio City, so they got a lot of bios down here, most especially towards downtown. And, it's so many things that Houston's good at. The only thing that I could think bad would be the traffic is heavy. And so most of us depend on that metro lift, a metro bus, a metro cab. It's a lot of good things that Houston does.
I will do well done.
It's great. They forced light rail upon us here in Phoenix some years ago, even though it was voted down twice. The politicians decided they were going to ram it anyway, and hardly anybody uses it. Most people use the buses and kind of miss the street space taken up by these trolleys running, electric trolley buses. But that's all right. I digress. Your question, your history question is, all right, now think about this, Alvin. Who was the first African-American president of the United States? Was that A, Morgan Freeman, because we're all just pretending anyway, B, Bill Clinton, or C, Barack Obama? Who do you think?
I think it's Barack Obama. Yeah, that's who it is. Barack Obama.
And you are correct, sir. Although Morgan Freeman played a really good president in the movies, and Bill Clinton thought he was the first black president. It was actually Barack Obama who was part black, so he counts. Thank you. Thank you, Alvin in Houston. All right, that's the end of the roster so far. If you'd like to check in and get a question, the American History Trivia Net, full call sign phonetically twice, please.
Kilo 8 November Romeo, Neil, Buchanan, West Virginia, K8NR.
Whiskey Delta 8, Papa India Charlie, WD8PIC.
November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo, November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo.
This is Kilo 6 Kilo Juliet Victor, Kilo 6 Kilo Juliet Victor, Kevin in Valley Springs, California.
Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel, Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel.
November Tango 9 Alpha, November Tango 9 Alpha, Patrick in Madison, Wisconsin. Evening, Alex.
Kilo 4 Bravo Romeo K4 BVR Boyce in Surprise, Arizona.
Kilo India 5 Whiskey Uniform KI5WW, Lynn in Houston.
AA5 GSS, Kilo Alpha, Golf Sierra Sierra.
Kilo Oscar 6 Mike November, Kilo Oscar 6 Mike November.
All right, let's hold it up there. We picked up 10 more. We have Neil in Buchanan, West Virginia, Kate, NR, welcome back. Bob in there you are, WD8PIC, Ohio, of course. Roger, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, N4, RHE. Kevin, Valley Springs, California, K6, KJV, W9, DWH, David, made it back in Owensboro, Kentucky. NT9A, Patrick in Madison, Wisconsin. K4BBR, Boyce in Surprise, Arizona. KI5WW, Lynn in Houston. KI5GSS, Shane in League City, Texas. And KO6MMN, Ed in San Jose. Question of the night, is there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else? Neil, Buchanan, West Virginia, I'm curious. K8NR.
Good evening, Alex and everyone on the net. Well, after thinking about it for a while, I think I would say strawberry shortcake, because our town, I think it's coming up in a couple months here, has the West Virginia Strawberry Festival, and they have all kinds of things at strawberry, and I've never found any better anywhere else. So, ready for my question, and back to you, K8NR.
Shortcake it is. My wife was listening to the show. Already wants to go to West Virginia, although she never did before. Love strawberry shortcake. Your question is, Neil, who was the first person to be awarded the Nobel Prize in physics? Yeah, who got that Nobel? A. William Rontgen, B. Albert Einstein, or Dr. William Pierce, who I believe was from West Virginia.
I'm going to go with A, Alex. I'm not sure on that, but we're going to go with A. Thanks for doing the net, and K8NR, back to net.
You're correct. I couldn't even fool you by mispronouncing the name. Yeah, Wilhelm Röntgen was for the Nobel Prize in Physics. Right you are. Thank you, Neil. Bob in Sylvania, Ohio. WD8PIC, is there something you think that Sylvania, although we have one other person from there, but do you think your city does better than anywhere else?
Okay, and I want to say good evening, especially good morning, to the other gentleman, also from as I like to call it, Sillyvania, because I like to be silly. Well, I will say this much. We have good emergency services. Now, we pay for it, but we have good emergency services. And I've had to use them a couple of years ago in the past, and I've used them in the past for some health issues. So I will say that we have very good emergency services, and I appreciate that. And yeah, at some point in the future, I'd like to talk to the other gentleman about his clear note, because I'm thinking about getting one at some point in the future, but I am totally blind, and if it's going to reset like that, then it might not be convenient for me. Anyway, go with your question, and I'll see if I have an answer.
All right, Bob. Yeah, the paramedics, I worked in the medical field before, and they are just everyone I've met, the most steady, trustworthy, unassuming, dedicated people I've ever seen. Now, I know not everybody can be like that, but I've seen good and bad nurses before. No offense, nurses and doctors, but yeah, these guys and gals. All right, your question is now, here's another one everybody knows, Bob. Who was the first emperor of China? I did the first emperor earlier of Japan. Who was the first emperor of China? Was it A, King Shi Hung, B, Sun Yat-sen, or C, Deng Hung Lo?
I'm going to guess Bravo because I have zero idea. I mean, if you put me in jail, I would never get out because I have no idea. Back to net control.
Well, Bob, I be honest with you, I wouldn't have known this either. It's not Sun Yat-sen, and it's not Deng Hung Lo. It's Qin Shi Huang, Huang, was the first emperor of China. And I apologize to the Chinese people listening if I mispronounce the name, but he was the first emperor of China. That could come in handy. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Roger in Fort Lauderdale, and for RHE, could I interest you in a slightly used Land Rover? Is there something you think your city or town does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex. November 4, Romeo Echo. Beautiful Fort Lauderdale, with over 300 miles of waterways, is known as the Venice of America, and the yachting capital of the world, with over 100 marinas, generating $40 billion, and home of the world's largest in-water boat show. And Alex, I have touched the Rosetta Stone in the British Museum. The statute of limitation period absolves me. I'm ready for my question, Alex.
Cake, allegedly. Was it A, Marie Callender, B, Marie Curie, or C, Marie Antoinette?
Alex, I didn't hear the question. Can you please repeat?
No problem. Which historical figure allegedly is credited for saying, "Let them eat cake"? Again, I'll go over it. Marie Callender, Marie Curie, or Marie Antoinette?
Marie Antoinette. Or return to net.
That is correct. Yeah, it was Marie Antoinette, the French Revolution, although they think maybe that was written later by someone in France who didn't like her. It didn't actually happen. And another thing to point out, cake, let them eat cake. In those days, cake was the baked-on grizzle on the inside of the ovens that they used for cooking. And it's even more insulting than it appears on the surface. So, thanks. Thank you, Roger. Kevin in Valley Springs, California, K6KJV. Kevin, what does Valley Springs, California do better than anywhere else?
Well, hello, Alex, and everyone else on the net. My only answer for that, since this is California, is they tolerate me. So far, I've been lucky that there haven't been hordes of my neighbors and government agencies to try to kick me out. So let me have my question.
Oh, but Kevin, you know they're listening to you and watching you now, don't you? Yes, yeah, I'm sure. But I'm glad that you're still unmolested. Your question is a historical question, of course. What was the primary purpose of the Machu Picchu site? The primary purpose, was it A, a royal estate for Incan rulers, B, a secret marketplace, or C, a vacation resort for Pokemon players?
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say B as in Bravo. Yeah, that's my answer. God bless 73 and Maranatha. Back to you, Alex, from K6KJV.
Yeah, Kevin, you need to bone up on your ancient Incan history. It was a royal estate for Incan rulers, is what much. In other words, it was a country club for wealthy Indians at the time, or Incans, I'm sorry, native South Americans. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. Thank you, Kevin. David, Owensboro, Kentucky, W9DWH, glad you made it back. Is there something you think that Owensboro does better than anywhere else? David in Owensboro, W9DWH, are you with us? Okay, well, maybe later. We'll try him again later. I haven't quite blown both hours of the net yet, so. Patrick, Madison, Wisconsin, NT9A. Is there something you think that Madison does better than anywhere else?
Well, I haven't been everywhere else, so I won't claim that we do it better than everywhere else, but one thing that we are particularly good at here in Madison is higher education. Within the city itself, there are 11 colleges, and within a 30-mile radius of the city, if you include that area, there are 19 colleges here. So a lot of very passionate people who are learning a lot of very cool things, and a lot of folks who aren't going learning stuff on their own just for the fun of it. Very well-educated populace here. Back to you.
Come on, Patrick, that's not that important anymore. It's social media. It's your social standing. It's the Asians there, huh? Yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad to see at least one place in America. I probably should stop before I get in trouble. Your question, Patrick, is which empire, we were educated, which empire did the ancient city of Carthage belong to? Yeah, where did Carthage belong? Was it A, the Phoenician Empire, B, the Roman Empire, or C, the Galactic Empire? Dum, 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 da, dum. What do you think?
Well, dum, dum, dum is correct. I can't remember. I was thinking Carthage was part of Greece, so I'm not accurate there at all. I'm going to go with Roman, just because that's the most similar to the Grecian Empire, but could be entirely wrong. Also, we have our fair share of social media addiction here in this city, too. Lots of folks on their smartphones all the time. Not everybody here is learning something all the time. Back to you, NC98.
Oh, Patrick, you learned something tonight. The ancient Carthage belonged to the Phoenician Empire, the ancient city. I'm sure the Romans took it over eventually, but yeah, that's where it's from. So, yeah, like I knew that. Thank you, Patrick. Boyce and Surprise, K4BBR. Welcome back, Boyce. Back to history again, only history. Is there something you think that Surprise, Arizona does better than anywhere else, other than having a really odd name?
K4BBR, good evening, Alex. It's good to be back. I tell you one thing that impressed me when I first moved here, and it continues to impress me, and they do it quite well. That's keep the streets clean, and the foliage and the landscaping. It's just, you just don't see trash, and everything's cut. And I mean, people that come out here to visit even comment on it. So I think their street and sanitation and landscaping people do an excellent job.
And I have noticed that before about certain parts of Sun City and Surprise. They're very, very clean. The landscaping is done almost every week, it looks like. It's like parts of North Scottsdale. Not the part I live in, South Scottsdale, but the North Scottsdale. Very neat as a pin. Not even a cigarette butt in the sidewalk. Your question is, the first nuclear bomb test, what they named it. Was it A, Trinity, B, Cypher, or C, what the hell are we doing?
Well, I think they all would agree on Charlie, but I'm going to go with Trinity, and I'm probably wrong. K4BBR.
You are correct.
Yep, it was Trinity. That was the name of the first nuclear bomb test. By the way, Cypher would have been more appropriate. It's another name for Lucifer, but, you know, it's... yeah, I know. I'm anti-war. What can I say? Thank you, boys. Lynn in Houston. KI5WWU. Hi, Lynn. Well, what do you think of Houston? Is there something your city does better than anywhere else?
Good evening, Alex. Thanks for running an always entertaining net. KI5WWU. To be brief and to be positive, I think the Houston Rodeo is pretty solid. So I apologize for getting MIA last week. I had another clear note problem, too, as I was upgraded, and so I'm still sorting through a lot of that. So back to you, and I'm ready for my questions.
Yep, no problem, Lynn. And Rodeo it is. Your question. Who was the first female monarch of England? First female monarch. Was that A, Elizabeth I, B, Mary I, or C, Bruce I? He was rumored to be transgendered. What do you think?
Good one. I'm going to go with Bravo, but I can't say that I really know. Should know that. Back to you, sir. KI5WW.
Nope, you got it. It was Mary I as the first female monarch of England. Didn't last too long, but that's who it was. Thanks. Thank you, Lynn. This is W7FTM, Alex, along with Kevin, VE3BZ. You're listening to the Eastern Night Trivia Net on the East Coast Reflector, and we're going to Shane, Lake City, Texas, KI5GSS. Okay, what does Lake City, Texas do better than anywhere else?
Good afternoon. Thanks for running the net. This is KA5GSS. I haven't been in Lake City very long, maybe a few months, but I will say this. They do get in a hurry when they're driving more than they do where I came from. I don't know if that's a positive thing, but they sure get in a hurry around here. And might not be better than anywhere else, but they sure strive to be. Go ahead and give me my question.
Who it was, there was a comedian some years ago. He said that he thought cell phones were a great idea to have in your cars and all that, and that everyone's license plate should be their cell phone numbers. You know, their phone numbers should be on their license plate. That way, you can call the car in front of you and say, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm in the car behind you. Yeah, hey, yeah, I'm waving. Yeah, see, could you do me a favor and drive a little faster?" Your question, Shane, is who was the last monarch of the Tudor dynasty in England? The Tudor dynasty in England, was that A, King James Morrison, Raymond Manzarek? Tudors, get it? B, Elizabeth I, or C, Mary I?
Well, yeah, definitely stumped me on that one. I've got a somewhat 33% chance, so I'll go with A on that one.
No, it wasn't King James Morrison. It was Mary I again is the correct answer. Yeah, she was the last monarch of the Tudor dynasty and the first female monarch of England. She's also known as Mary Tudor, Tudor. So it's I'm not exactly up in my ancient English history either. So thank you, Shane. Ed in San Jose, K0MMN. Ed, is there something San Jose? Other than the song, does it better than anywhere else?
Why, certainly, Alex. Formerly the safest city in America, San Jose, we have successfully converted a multi-millions, if not billion-dollar light rail system into homeless barracks. Barracks for the homeless. Back to you.
Congratulations, Ed. That's quite an accomplishment for your city. Your question is, hang on a second. Okay, what was the first modern civilization to use coins as currency? Yeah, first modern civilization, coins as currency. A, the Lydians. B, the Greeks, or C, the Bitcoinians.
That's a toss-up between the Greeks and the Lydians. So I'm just going to have to go, being somewhat interested in this stuff, not sure of the timeline. I'm just going to have to go with A, the Lydians. Probably wrong. Back to you, Alex. KO6, Mike, November.
Very good, Ed. You actually knew who the Lydians were, because I don't think I've heard of them before this sleep during that lesson. Yeah, they were the originators of gold and silver coins, the Lydians. And during their brief rule over Asia Minor from the middle of the 7th to the middle of the 6th century BC, the Lydians influenced the Ionian Greeks, and they kind of adopted things from them. But the Lydians were the first. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Finally, on the callers, we have Chris in Hollywood, Florida, KQ4UPK. Welcome back, Chris. Is there something you think your city does better than anywhere else?
Well, first I want to say, Alex, thank you for the warm welcome back. And to be honest with you, I think that probably my city does, in certain areas of my city where we keep a well-groomed, neighborhood, and that's probably it. Everybody's lawn's nice and green, cut well, and everybody takes care of their yards very well. So I would have to say, I would say that. I would say, I forget the name of it, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'm ready for my question, though.
Your question is, I won't do another Tiger Woods joke. I mean, I shouldn't pick on the guy when he's down. Your question is, what was the name of the first artificial human heart transplant recipient? The first guy to get that artificial heart. This happened when I was, a long time ago in grade school. But who was that guy? Was it A, the Tin Man, B, Bob Clark, or C, Barney Clark?
Well, because it took place in 1982, and I was born in 1982, the correct answer is going to be Barney Clark. That would be C, Charlie.
Yep, that's the man. I thought it was. Oh no, wait. I'm thinking of the first artificial heart transplant happened when I was in grade school. You're right. Yeah, it's Barney Clark. Thank you, Chris. All right, all the check-ins I have. If you'd like to get a trivia question, we have a few more minutes left. Full call sign, phonetically twice, please.
Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel, Whiskey 9 Delta Whiskey Hotel. Maybe the third time's the charm.
All right, everybody, hold it right there. We're going to get David first before he drops out again. W9DWH, David, Owensboro, Kentucky. Is there something you think your city or town is better than anywhere else?
On the net, not sure what's going on tonight. Tried Echo 8, it didn't work. Tried All-Star, it didn't work. So now I'm on DMR, so I finally got through. Well, I'm excited to say that Owensboro is probably best at, we're known for smoking meats. We got three major barbecue restaurants in town. Probably the most popular and the most well-recognized is Fremont Barbecue. And then we also specialize in Owensboro in something called mutton, which is a lamb. I like to smoke lambs along with pork and beef, and then mergu, which is kind of a mulligan stew.
What, no roadkill? I mean, sorry, David. Okay, your question is, which ancient culture built the pyramids at Giza? Who did that? Was it A, the Sumerians, B, the Egyptians, or C, the aliens?
It wasn't the Bengals? We'll go with B, Bravo. Thanks for having so much patience with me there this evening, Alex, and I'll try to have everything fixed by next week. Hope to catch everybody on the next net there. W9, Edwidge.
No problem, David. You're a loyal listener and player at the Saturday Night Trivia Net. I don't know why, but we wanted to make sure we got you in there. All right, taking more check-ins. Full call sign, phonetically twice, please.
Alex, did I get my question right?
Oh, yes, you did. I'm sorry, you did. It was the Egyptians. Thank you, David. Taking more check-ins. Full call sign, phonetically twice, please. on. You guys aren't afraid of history questions, are you? Last call. Full call sign phonetically twice, please, and we'll get you a question. Hey, Steve, was that you trying to connect in 5ZUA? We're not getting you through. All right, I believe it's time we call it a net, and let's see how we did tonight. We had 43 people, it looks like, checked in, and thank you for doing that. Everybody who did check in, and of those who answered questions and were in and out, we had 28 people got their history question correct, and 14 people missed their question. That's about 67% to 33%. Nicely done. And as far as the question of the night, well, that of course was all over the place. However, no, it wasn't the most common. Poor people said, nah, where I live, they're not really known for doing anything better than anywhere else, which is to be expected. Anyway, again, I'd like to thank everybody who tonight with special thanks, of course, to Kevin of VE3 and BZ for coming in and logging the net tonight. Thank you, Kevin. The East Coast Reflector hosts many interesting nets during the week. Don't go by this one. For more information, visit eastcoastreflector.com and select the Nets tab on the main page. We're now returning control of the ECR back to normal amateur use at, check the time, 9:53 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or 4:53 a.m. UTC. Until next week at the same time, when the control voice will take you to the Saturday Night Trivia Net. 7:30, good night at W7 FGM clear.
W7, Alex, I didn't get the rest of your call sign. This is K5HH.
Yeah, go ahead, W7 FGM, back to you.
I absolutely want to give an apology. I do not know how my radio check parity got crossed with the net, but I do apologize for you getting in there. I'm still trying to figure it out. That's all I want to say. It's K5HH.
Actually, it's not a problem. For one thing, you were man enough to come back and admit that you caused the error. We appreciate that, and that, believe it or not, that happens more often than you think. And don't worry about it. I was curious what I sounded like anyway on the net, and that showed me I had enough audio. So just please don't do it again. Thank you. At W7 FTM. Where'd your call sign again?
Kilo Echo 5 Victor Juliet Hotel.
Yeah, no problem. Give you a check-in, actually. I'll give you an in and out. So, next time, why don't you go ahead and play, give it a shot. Anyway, thanks, Ray. W7 FTM. I'll catch you later.
Roger that. Kilo Echo 5 Victor Juliet Hotel.
Kilo Oscar 6 Mike November. Was anybody on HF today for the WPX contest? Kilo Oscar 6 Mike November. don't you come back with a frequency, KJ5, KJ? KJ5JK, Kilo Oscar 6, Mike November. What band, what frequency were you talking about, okay? It was a annual single sideband contest. I guess all frequencies that support single sideband. I'm a tech, so it was 10 meter upper sideband, right? For my privileges, but yeah, it was a madhouse. It was. I heard a lot of people complaining about it, crying about it. A lot of people doing it. It was a wild ride for me. 1 week into HF. Back to you. KJ5JK, or I'm sorry, KJ5KJ, KO6MMN. Yeah, roger that. Yeah, my issue was down on the 75 meter band, down the 80 meter band. We had a lot of guys bleeding over down there that weren't that class of service. So that's what I thought you were talking about, not the 10 meter band. Oh, yeah. No, I was on the 10 meter band. I've had a, 10 meter upper sideband. It was spotty at first last week. I've had the radio for about a week, and then it just went gangbusters from last night when I got home from work to all day. Just lots of activity, and it was pretty crazy. Anyway, back to you. What were you talking about? You were doing the same thing on the 80 meters and whatnot?
I don't think he was looking for a chat, but I was on the bands today, and they were all crazy. KE2ELI. KE2ELI. There was somebody out there, a technician, looking in the chat about the contest today. I think the guy you were talking to wasn't interested in chatting, but I am.
The time is 10 p.m.
I got K from your call sign. That's about it. Kilo Oscar 6, Mike November. I was mentioning the contest, seeing if anybody was getting wrapped up in that. Back to you.